Yeah, good luck. And Lily's invited, but she still refuses to come. Welcome in the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the 4th of June, 2024, second day of Genesis Week. If you follow by the days of the events and the festivities, and there's plenty today. It's all continuing on with the events as we're going through the week. We do have a registration open for some items for the Genesis rings, which is always a fun part of Genesis Week. We have open now ornaments to purchase for the Genesis 2024 ornament bundles. Those are open if you're trying to get those purchased and decorating properties for either the regular Genesis season ornament challenge or get them purchased and up along the way for other challenges as we go through. And then we have a few other things that are going on with a couple caveats. A couple caveats are there's still huge things we don't know about Genesis Week. Upland has already given us some hints along the way by telling us more surprises to come. We're going to have surprises. Oh, by the way, hold on to your butts. We're going to have some surprises. And a couple of the surprises that are still withstanding are pretty big. So we'll get into those. What we're waiting on, what we need to know, what we still don't know when it comes to what is going on for Genesis Week. And of course, today was your last day officially to purchase in the game of Layer 1 Upland to purchase your in-person Genesis Week passes. Like, they're still up right now. They're going to be going down at the end of the day, with a caveat that I believe they might still be up on Eventbrite for up until close to the event. But the caveat there is, I know that's going to come off or likely be turned off at some point as well. So watch out for that. If you are still contemplating it, obviously you're kind of cutting it close at this point. But to get things kicked off, as always, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Should be taken as game strategy or financial advice that represent the game or the team of Upland. Any views or opinions of those who do come on as guests, they're theirs and theirs alone. Should be taken as game strategy advice to don't represent the team or the game of Upland. They don't represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cafe Nightly Show. And, of course, I'll say it one more time. No game strategy advice, no financial advice. But I will say this, and I've already said it once, and I'll say it again. It appears that if you are going to Genesis Week live in person, you're able to go, there is a lot of value that you're going to take from it. And that's both financial, because I think that the reward, most people can agree that the rewards, or some of the rewards, are significantly above the cost of entry. Travel is its own thing. Hotel, own thing. You have to figure those out. Different people have different costs. If you live right in Vegas, it's a different value proposition than if you live out of country and have to travel in. And if you have to be in town for 4 days, so now you got 4 hotel nights. So there's a lot of considerations there. But for the value of going to the event, as far as I'm concerned, you have a $100 entry to get into the event. You have 3 days, 3 meals paid for. You have a drinking, or you have a opportunity at a happy hour. You have the go-kart racing, and don't forget an entire Spark for anybody who just does whatever the minimal activities are. Get an entire Spark that is all yours to keep, and potential for that to be as much as 5 Spark. X1 kind of confirmed that 5 Spark is going for one player. It's not like everybody has the opportunity, so long as they do some bonus points. It's competitive for who gets the 5 Spark, with a caveat that 5 Spark is great, 1 Spark is still good. So as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot to be earned along the way. There's giveaways, and Upwind has kind of said there's prizes we haven't told you about, there's giveaways we haven't told you about. There's this idea that with the actual racing, with the go-kart racing that's in the after party, there's going to be additional prizes available there. And they haven't said this prize, that prize, this prize, that prize. So there's going to be a lot that's built in there. And of course, I mentioned the surprises because Upland has talked about that there is some NFT surprise giveaway. They've talked about that there's NFTs they haven't discussed that might be given away. Last year, we had no understanding, no reason to believe that everybody who showed up at Genesis Week was going to end up going home with a car. And that's exactly what happened. The first iteration of carts, the Genesis carts, every single person who was in attendance at Genesis Week 2023 went home with a car. And when people got home with that car, that was a 200,000 UPEX value car because that's what the market was. And the people who had them were using the race and were able to be racing in the cards. So there was a long time before UGC cards came around, and the Upland cards or cards available for sale took a while before those were available. So overall, it was something that was a huge value. It was a huge surprise, and it was kind of a little bit of fun to be some of the first people who were able to race those cards. That is a potential here. The potential is that there's something that's of that magnitude that is coming your way if you're going to be at Genesis Week live in person at the Genesis Live event on Thursday and Friday this week. I say this week. We're a couple days away. A lot of us have already flown. I'm not one of them. Some of us are flying tomorrow. I'm one of those. And 8 hours from now, less than 8 hours from now, I will be in the air headed towards Las Vegas. It'll take me some time before I get there. But I will be looking forward to seeing all other Uplanders who are headed in early, who will be in town on Wednesday, Thursday, and obviously leading into the events game start at 5 p.m. PST on Thursday, and that's again just 2 days away, and it's incredible to say that because we did have the announcement. I think it was beginning of March with the announcement, and I bought my tickets immediately, got the early bird tickets. I think I was one of the first people to purchase them, and since then I've been waiting for more information. I've been getting ready, I've been thinking about it, and the time has gotten it's gotten closer and closer, but it was ticking so slowly at the beginning, and now it's actually here. So it's kind of incredible. We've gotten more layers along the way. We have more to look forward to than we ever did before. I think there's more going on this year than there was last year, and Upland's still playing a lot of things close to the vest. And one of the things they're playing closest to the vest is the Genesis City this year. Genesis City is generally a relatively special city. It's something that is meant to stand out as something that is a little bit of a big deal, a little bit of a draw factor. It's hard to use this as a draw factor if you don't tell people what it is until it actually gets released. We did see that Berlin getting into Europe was kind of interesting. Was kind of an interesting move to see that expansion into Europe in that way. To have Berlin, which is a nice capital city, to be able to see that get minted through, and to have people, because we have a lot of players in Germany, or we did at the time, and I think we still do, to give them something in Germany was very exciting to see that happen. 2 years ago, obviously minting Vegas from Vegas, it was the first Genesis Week that was hosted in Vegas live in person, and you're minting, and this is pretty cool. Hey, KL, good to see you. It was pretty cool to be minting the city while you were in the city. So that was kind of a cool piece there. But now this year, who knows? Upland has been putting this idea, these surprise, quick 2-day notice releases. We've had a couple of them. We've had these releases, these stealth, these ninja releases, if you were. Again, hi KL Ninja. But we had these quick releases, if you were, with a couple different situations where we were told it was coming, we weren't told when, and then it drops. I think this is one of those opportunities to be surprised and to surprise people, not have the research, not have people thinking about it, whether it's a vanilla or a standard. If it's a standard, then obviously everybody's going to have very short notice and they're going to race for those collection areas. If it's a vanilla, people aren't going to have time to go and research and spend days researching. And I think it's kind of exciting to see it that way. Obviously, it flies in the face of conventional and traditional uplanding. The conventional and traditional uplanding is go to your resources, go to the Banana Guides, go to Anarch Assassins, go to any of these other community node groups that do share information about these cities, and spend a day or two thinking about the city, talking about the city, what's likely to hit collections, go and make a strategy and go into those areas. When you have very little notice about the city you're getting, number one, we're going to have to question how are people going to get there. We have to know enough in advance. Chop, chop, says Jimmy Jester. We have to know enough in advance to travel in, unless, of course, and I don't think this is the case, unless, of course, Upland just took everybody who's in Genesis Week, which they've done before and they can do, take everybody who's in a specific category and magic drop them into a city, which again, this could be done. It is possible to the hand of God, if you were. I call it a magic drop. You just take the individual block explorers, drop into a city, and they can get dropped back out afterwards. I don't think it's going to happen, but again, that's the other option other than telling us with enough advance notice so that we can travel. Otherwise, you're going to say, okay, now it's travel time. And depending on how close you are to whatever the surprise city is, you may or you may not get there in time. So we'll have to see when we get the release. It could be tomorrow for all we know. Get that announcement. For all we know, it could be the night before. Theoretically, you can travel anywhere in the world in 2 hours. Well, if you include having to use connections, potentially as much as 2.5 hours anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world in Upland. So that could be it. We could have a notification Thursday night, the minting on the Friday. You have to set your travel up the night before. You don't have as much time to share information, and then you have to get ready for minting on Friday morning. But again, we're going to have to see how this plays out. It is the biggest surprise, I would say, of Upland, or one of them, until we find out we got an asset just for going for live in person. Again, don't hate on the people who went to Upland and got a prize, got a reward. Upland did say there's going to be there may be more NFTs. Keep your eyes out. So don't be too surprised. What day is the city release? The city release, Jimmy, is on Friday. Friday is the city release. We have a special timing for the release. Let's take a look at that calendar because it is the right time to do so. So let me pop that up, that calendar for our Eventbrite. What we have. Let me see if I get lucky and can search it rather than having to go and scroll through the list to the Eventbrite calendar. But we'll get there in just a second. So looking at the Eventbrite calendar, we'll take a look at the mint on Friday with a couple other things on there that are important to look at as well. We do know that on Friday we will be running a bunch of in-person events, but some of those are going to actually be important for people who aren't there live in person. Things like the hackathon presentations, those will be recorded in a way. Those will be getting distributed. I'll talk to Upland about what it looks like for broadcasters having the ability to record that and put that on their own. I know that some of the videography in the past has been rough from what was able to be put out. So, it potentially, if multiple people are trying to put that information out, trying to record the hackathon, maybe somebody will have better recordings than what we had previously, what we saw last year anyways, when it came to the provided, and it's because of the event space, the provided videography, as opposed to Upland choosing the best possible option, which they can't. It's provided by the venue, and Upland has to take what they get. We'll love to see something better. Again, if we get lucky, if one broadcaster puts out a really, really great recording, then that's the one everyone's going to want to go see. There's a couple other things. Obviously, we have the awards, which are going to be great to see. And that'll probably be some videos of that as well. And then, of course, whatever the hype is, whatever the events are throughout the day, there's going to be panels, there's going to be announcements, there's going to be AMAs. And important on that AMA list is put a pin in that. We'll get back to it. But there is a submission. There's a submission form out right now for AMA questions. So if you're not going to be live in person, you're not going to put your hand up and say, "Excuse me, Dirk." If you're not going to have that opportunity, you do have the opportunity to submit the question. That form is out today. I'll get into that. Send people in that right direction, because that's an important one. That is your opportunity. If you're not going to Genesis Week and you want to feel more in control, if you want to feel more that you are, going to have a spot in line, there's your spot in line to speak, or at least to voice your concern, to ask your question, to learn something that you've had as a question in the back of your mind for years. This is an AMA opportunity. So let's take a look at that schedule. Like I said, some of these events are going to be specific to those who are there in person. Some of these events really are worth keeping your eye on if you're not there in person, because there may be simul broadcasting. There may be opportunities to see recorded video. Upland said there won't be as much live recording or live streaming this year because of the limitations they had previously, that last year. But we'll have to see how that happens and check with other broadcasters. I'll be putting stuff out in little bit pieces. We'll see how easy it is or how well things work or how good the internet is, how much the audio quality is suffering or how good the audio quality is, and we can take it from there. Looking at the schedule, as mentioned, as we've all said, the happy hour is a 3 hour. Well, sorry, I say 3 hours. It's 2.5 hour event, technically 5:30 to 8 o'clock. What I expect to happen this year is what happened last year. What happened last year was there was a period of time when Upland was essentially open bar, paying for drinks. That period ends and people are still there. So don't think that at 8 o'clock hard, okay, I'm going to bed now. There may be opportunities to continue to meet and greet other Uplanders. Maybe you have plans and you go to the high roller, which is beautiful. It's a giant Ferris wheel, 400 and whatever feet, 420, 460, somewhere in that range. Feet in the air. You get to see all of the city of Las Vegas, or a good portion of it anyways, from that 400-foot vantage point. It's all glassed off. It's easy to see through. You get in these small bubbles. If you get enough people together, that small bubble is all the people you know. We did an Uplander-specific bubble last year, Uplander-specific carriage in the Ferris wheel, which was pretty exciting. They're pretty large bubbles, and you get that opportunity to do that on Thursday night, potentially with other Uplanders after you have the drinkies. You have the opportunity to stay in there at the Casbah and potentially hanging out with other Uplanders, maybe have another drink. Hopefully 2.5 hours is enough for you to get your fill of drinks, but spend time. Last year, I think, if I remember on the timing right, probably a half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour after the official event ended, the band came on and the bars opened for other people, and other people are showing up, and Uplanders definitely did hang around, many of them. So they were still there and they were still, spending time with other Uplanders, regardless of the fact that there were other people from outside the event who were showing up. And then, of course, again, that is also a good reminder to not overdo it on Thursday night, because there's a lot going on Friday. And we talked about, when do we normally have a city release, and Jimmy Jester asked about the timing. The timing is actually a little bit delayed, and that's because of two things. Number one, Upland's giving people a bunch of drinks on Thursday night. I think they're recognizing that fact. Also, Upland's doing a bunch that morning. I'm sure the staff, the way they looked at things, they probably didn't want to have to get up those extra hours early. I know before, or when you do these events, before you actually have people show up, you're there hours, or at least an hour early. If you're doing check-ins and signups, you have to be there early to do those things. So I can see when you start doing the math, starting a city release at 9 o'clock probably was a little early. So this is what the schedule ended up being. At 9 a.m., we have breakfast, buffet, and check-in. That's going to be on Friday, this coming Friday. That's 9 to 9:30 is what breakfast and check-in is. There is going to be a check-in. There is going to be a check-in period on Thursday, a check-in period after the meet and greet and the drink. So potentially after those finish up, you can go up with your favorite Uplanders, your friends, the people you met today during the event. Go up the stairs, go and get registered for Thursday, for Friday, so you're not sitting there in line on Friday morning and waiting for breakfast, waiting for sign up, waiting for getting your badge. So that opportunity may be there. We do have immediately after breakfast and the breakfast buffet, the welcome to the founders. Obviously, founders are going to come on stage while people are still sitting there sipping on whatever beverage they're drinking, eating their breakfast. We'll have the founders come on to address the crowd and everybody. The welcome from the founders. Obviously, this is more about probably greetings and discussing the overall focus of the event. AMAs, we get more specific information, and product panels, we get more specific information from the team. We're looking forward to those, of course, but the welcome obviously is get things started. 10 a.m. to 10:30, that is the city release. It only takes about a half an hour if you've gone through and done a city release. It takes about a half an hour for the high interest properties to get minted out. That's what we're going to see. Half an hour real focus on the minting. If things kind of peter out after 15 to 18 minutes, especially if it's a small city and the high interest stuff gets minted out quickly. And then we go right into the roadmap and the AMA. So the roadmap in AMA, 10:30 to 11:30, 1 hour of awesomeness, if you ask me. Roadmap updates are always fun. It's nice to know what's going on. And at Genesis Week, when we talk about a roadmap update, we're not talking about 3 weeks, 3 months. We're talking about the next year. And that allows them to talk about these big rocks, these big milestones, the big things they want to do later in the year. It also gives the opportunity to kind of set the table for, by the way, blank is coming in blank period of time. So we'll look forward to this very, very much. The AMA, like I said, there is the opportunity, and we'll get into that. There is the opportunity to make submissions for questions. If you're not going to be live in person, you have a burning question you want answered, you have that opportunity to get that question in. The exhibitor booths do open at 11:30. Those are going to run for a number of portions of the day. They're going to run up to lunch, and they're going to resume again after lunch. So those exhibitor booths do open at 11:30, with lunch officially starting between 12 and 1, or starting at 12, running to 1. All times are in PST, of course, local time. The hackathon and finals, that's between 1 and 2 p.m. after lunch finalizes, finishes up. We'll do the hackathon finals. Again, that is going to be presentations from the stage. We have 5 presenters, 5 great projects. So looking forward to seeing that. And again, over the course of an hour, that puts them at, I think they've got like a 15-minute presentation. There's probably a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes worth of shuffle in between each of them. So we'll look forward to that. And then we go on to the panels, exhibitions, racing activities. That's about 2.5 hours. So there's going to be panels. There's going to be different panels on the stage rotation. As those are going on, we're going to have the exhibitor booths continue to run. There's going to be racing and events that are going to be potentially held at the same time, and people are going to be able to participate in those. So looking forward to that. And I think the reason why we have panels and activities, those terms in there, we have confirmed one of the panels is more an activity, and that is a game show being hosted by Left House. That is something that has been confirmed and discussed. But we talked about Surprise, and Uplands talked about Surprise. They haven't put a lot out this year. Previously, I think we had the list of panels weeks or months out. I think I was announced as having a panel like 4 months before the event actually happened, which is pretty incredible that we had that time to plan and to think. This year, no, we don't know what the panels are. We don't know who's doing what panels. We just know that they're going to be happening. So we'll keep our eyes out. Again, surprise. If that's what we're talking about, then don't be surprised when Upland drops something on us that we don't expect. And I think that's the point, is they want to give us something big that we haven't been expecting, haven't been planning for. Rest and prepare for the evening. So after the racing, the activities, the panels, the exhibitions, there is a 2.5 hour rest period. And again, this is mandatory, aka no chilling, no lounging. Do not use the event space to hang out in. That's going to get closed off. Upland needs the time to reset the space. Upland team probably needs the time to go and do what they have to do to reset, because there's a few things that have to happen. Obviously, there's staff there that are going to do things like reset tables and go and get the food ready and get the food out where it needs to be. When we go and have the dinner, the evening dinner, and the award ceremony. But also, I'm sure there's plenty of things the team has to do to get ready there. So the dinner and the award show is going to be between 7 and 8:30. Obviously, dinner, the awards are going to be for the 3 categories we know about. There was some talk about there might be something else in there, but the 3 categories we know about, plus the hackathon. So we have the hackathon. We have the announcement of the broadcaster of the year. We're going to have the announcement of the Upland of the year, and then, of course, the designer of the year. We do know we're going to, again, have the hackathon winners and the runner-up announced, and we may also have, I know that the design challenge being the structured design challenge, that might get announced then as well. So looking forward to that. Obviously, a meal is an opportunity to fill our bellies. And immediately following the award show, there is transportation provided. This has been confirmed by X1, if that question is still out there, to get over to the go-karts and prizes. Again, they put this and they highlight this prizes. So there's a reason to go to the go-karts. They call it an after party. They've called it, an after party because it's after, the presentations, and it's after the awards, and it's this segment of time that's less structured. But when you really think about it, if Upland's saying there's major prizes there, it's not really after the event. This is a key heart and soul portion of the event. And again, part of Genesis Week, if you ask me, and if you ask a lot of people, hi, Rodrigo, good to see you in. If you do ask a lot of people, they're going to say one of the heart and souls of Genesis Week is having fun with other uplanders. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I've been hit with a go-kart. Again, I don't know what the speeds of these go-karts are, but I've been hit with go-karts at 35 miles an hour. That's not always the most fun thing in the world, but it is good. It's meant to be a fun event. Hopefully we're all responsible with the driving. It does sound like X1 said there is some plans in place. They have rules there. The drinking happens after the driving, go figure. So there's going to be drinks at the event with the open bar, it sounds like. And that open bar obviously is for those who have already finished racing or who are not going to be racing for one reason or another. Prizes obviously can be won throughout the night with activities, with the racing, of course, so events and finishing times. And it sounds like there may be some giveaways of prizes that are going to be given away other ways as well, which would include at the portion of the prize time, the big prizes of the year, which are going to be the 300 Albatross MVA giveaway, and there's plenty of other giveaways, which include some ultra rare properties. One of which, just for attending, is going to be given away. There's another ultra rare that's going to be given away based on people get extra points for referring people to the event. Again, if you gave someone a referral and when they went and bought their Eventbrite ticket, or they bought their ticket to go to Genesis Week Live, the Genesis Live event, they said, "Yep, Jimmy Jester suggested I go. He's my referral." You both have to go to the event, of course, and then you get points, or you get drawing ticket, or however you want to put it. You get an opportunity to get drawn for each person you refer to get that extra ultra rare property. So there's a lot of great prizes that are going to be there. Obviously, this is an opportunity for those prizes to be given out. And then you finish up, and it's going to be pretty darn late. They said 11 o'clock here. I think that it's already been confirmed that event space stays open a little later. The shuttles may be a little later than 11 o'clock by the time they all get back to where they're going, which, since the events at the Sahara is going to be shuttling people back to the Sahara, that might be a little later than 11 o'clock when those are coming back. And then a lot of people are going to be exhausted and going to bed. Some people aren't. There are other things to do on Friday. I will say that Upland runs an official event that ends on Friday. It doesn't mean that all Uplanders are done being Uplanders on Friday night. I know a lot of people are in town till Saturday into Sunday. There may be opportunities to network, to connect, to potentially take a relationship you made over the course of the first 2 days of Thursday and Friday, and take that relationship and potentially explore it, whether that is somebody who might be a coder for your new project, for your layer 2 development project, for somebody who's going to want to be part of the node that you've been discussing with them, somebody who really has a interest in a project that you're running and you just want to give them more information. Whatever it is, there is more time to network and to be a part of the Upland community on Saturday and Sunday. So keep your eyes out for those opportunities. If you're going live and in person and you feel like you ran out of time in that booth space, maybe that exhibitor is going to be there on Saturday. Maybe you just want to find a time where things die down a little bit to have that conversation, and Saturday or Sunday may be that opportunity to do so. Again, the last appeal on this, of course, you have to have just about made arrangements if you're going to go. I don't know, unless you're self-employed, unless you live in the Vegas area, it's going to be pretty close to make those decisions to take a flight in. It's going to be pretty close in timing to book a hotel. But of course, if you are able to do that, I'd still encourage you to go to Genesis Week if everything works out. Genesis Live, there's so much going on. It's more about fun than anything else, but Upland stuffed it with prizes, activities, and the opportunity to learn more about the game of Upland as a whole and into the future. And with that, that's a great segue, because learn more about Upland in the future and get more information. Why don't we? Why don't we look at that? And that is going to be in the form of asking the right questions, getting the right answer. So getting the right answers, where's the best place to ask it? Ask it in an AMA. Ask it in a place where some of the decision makers in the game of Upland are going to be, and going to be answering questions. And of course, The Genesis Live AMA, it looks like it's pretty fair game. In the past, we've had opportunities to talk to the founders and ask questions, usually on a specific range of topics. In this case, it sounds like it's pretty open-ended. There's a lot going on. And keep in mind, when this happens, there may have already been some announcements, so it may be an opportunity to ask questions if you're live in person on an announcement that's been made. But putting questions ahead, if you've been thinking about them all year, this is a great time to get them asked. So let's take a look at that form. It's a ClickUp form. We've had these before. This is a format Upland's used in the past to submit information. Here we go. At everyone, we are taking on questions for everyone to go to our Genesis Live AMA. From everyone to go to our Genesis Live AMA, you'll have the chance to have your question posed to the team, whether it is Dirk or Don or one of the other partners. We want to hear from you. Make sure you keep a lookout for any of the UCN, that's Upper End Contributor Network, who may be sharing the AMA with the rest of the community over the course of the event too. So I think that's kind of the hint here when they say UCN. Hello. That's a hint too that they are going to be looking for us to be broadcasting and putting this out. I did mention that we're going to try to broadcast on the event. The audio quality, that's a question. We're not going to have our access to the stage mics. If everything picks up good on audio, I have a couple different ways of capturing audio. We could try to find the best way to do so. Maybe we'll be able to make it all sound good for you at home and do our best to kind of give you the experience. If you're not coming to Genesis Live in person, give you the experience of learning, hearing, and being part of the action as it happens. The ClickUp form, as we've used before, pretty simple, pretty easy. This is what it looks like. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the link here. Uplander username, question addressed to who is answering the question. So I click the button here. Upland team, that's the team as a whole. Layer 2 team, obviously people who are doing Layer 2 development. An Upland partner, other. Okay, there you go. An Upland team, I would say that's going to be the leads, obviously, at Don and Dirk. Here's your subject. Here's your question. You can't be a robot if you want to submit this, so you have to promise that you're not a robot, and then you can submit. Pretty easy, pretty simple. It looks pretty open-ended. Again, you've been playing Upland for this past year. You've been seeing things happen. They've been talking about things that happen in the long term. You want to ask about them, want to learn more. This is your opportunity to do so. A couple other little live updates along the way as well. Genesis Season Pass. Yeah. This is the first drop of Genesis Season. The way these passes work is you have to burn them before Tuesday at 9 a.m. PT if you want to get that drop that week. I always caution people that if you don't burn it the first week, you miss that opportunity. You don't get that drop. You might get the drops later in the season if you burn the pass later. But if you want to get all 6 drops during the season, you burn it before the first Tuesday in the month. Obviously, you have to buy the pass first. After you've burnt that pass, you're going to get the drop each week as you head through the month. Drops did happen today, so we'll take a look at what was dropped. But I do want to point out that Upland said that these are going to be pretty impressive. I like the look of the pass this time. I think it's looked better than the previous passes. The first drop, we'll get into the details on the first drop. But again, we got 6 more drops this season. Upland said they're bringing out all the stops. They're trying to make things bigger and better because, again, it is Genesis Week. It is a focus of the year, of the calendar for Upland. But we'll take a look at what was dropped today. Genesis Season Pass Drop 1 Cosmetics, a.k.a. the first Genesis drop live. Dropped now. Head over to the link below to check out the drop. Stay tuned for Rad Cosmetics we've got planned for this season. Again, keep in mind, this would be a great opportunity to drop some. We all celebrating Genesis Week all at once here. 1, 2, 3. Here they go. There's the pass. We already seen this. There's a gold version. The gold version is more of a collector's than anything else. We have the blue confetti. Look at that. Animation go over your block explorer. We have the Genesis Vibe property card background. It is non-animated. I like the animated ones. And then, of course, the season's badge. So we did have 2 drops this week. If you did purchase the pass and you burnt it, you did get the badge today. I did get mine today. And you would have gotten those drops. Again, I would have loved a triple drop this week, again, because it is Genesis week on top of being Genesis season, but that's okay. So we do have the competitive ability to celebrate Genesis week as you're in Genesis week. We'll go over here and take a quick look. Let's get back into the game of Upland. Let's go on over here. Let's go over here. One more click here. Change my block explorer. Okay, we got to find some confetti, right? Confetti. Where is it? There it is. That's the confetti that we got dropped today. I'm going to come back down here. We did not get a block explorer background. We did get a property card background. That's the Genesis 5 blocks or property card background. Like I said, we do not get a new one yet for our explorer backgrounds. Let's pick the best one. Robots from Blossom season, or I can go back a little further and I can actually get flowers from a period of time that wasn't Genesis season. Go figure. Or that wasn't Genesis season, wasn't Blossom season. Go figure. We don't know. Maybe we'll get some more Genesis stuff. Again, Genesis is about celebration and Upland, so I do like the fact that we've already hit the celebration theme with a confetti celebration, and then obviously that what looks like this crowd, this stage crowd. That is a big part of Genesis week, of course. The on-stage presentations, the excitement, the partying. Ooh, they say partying? Shh, don't worry about that. But if we do talk about Genesis week, we're talking about celebrating what's going on, what's happening in the year for Upland, but also looking forward to the future. So I think these are some of the right themes here. And of course, if you want to see what it looks like when we look at that property card, pretty simple, pretty easy. I take a look here. Boom. There's my property card. Look at everybody celebrating here in the background. It looks like it's a giant concert over here. We see the lights out here. We see the stage. It's so expansive that we see everything. It fades off into the distance, and here's your crowd. Rah, rah, rah. We don't see that many people going to Genesis week this year, but we have been told it's going to be bigger than last year, and likely to match the prior year for Genesis week for the number of attendees. There is a little bit of delay or a little bit of lapse in information. We're told that we will get more information actually once Genesis week starts, is what X1 said, as far as if you're worried about how the numbers line up. But as big as it's ever been is what the expectation is, and with the potential it's a little bigger as well. We know there was some last minute signups, which is always a good thing, and we're looking forward to it. Babluve P. I don't know what the P is, but looking forward to seeing you. Monopoly Mike, yes, absolutely. It is almost there. Genesis week is upon us. We are officially there, but actual Genesis live. A lot of people are traveling in tomorrow, including myself, to be there for Thursday. And before we get too far ahead of ourselves, before we look at the leaderboards and get an update here on one of the leaderboards, which is kind of a big one. It's been talked about before about, gaming the system and whether or not you can do it. And, it was controversial because it was able to be done in some contests. We'll get into Upland kind of waiting until after the contest started to correct a loophole, but we'll get into that. But before we get into all of that, let's take one more review to say, before everything officially gets kicked off for Genesis Live 2024, part of the reason why I'm headed in on Wednesday, part of the reason why other Uplanders are headed on Wednesday, is because there's a few UCN members who will be interviewing members of the team that will be live, that will be put out in ways that you at home can watch. You at Genesis Week, Genesis Live, those in Vegas can watch. You're not going to be in the room. It is going to be live from Upland Studios, so that is going to be on Upland's equipment with their backdrop in the background. You can, knock on the fishbowl. That is their offices. So pretty excited to be seeing that. We'll have Upland staff members that you don't generally see. We have Helly, who's been on some of the presentations in the past. I think she's been, interviewed and been in a couple different ecosystems as well. But excited to see Helly get interviewed by Morchis. Dirk, seen him get interviewed a few times. I've had the pleasure of being able to interview him or have a conversation with him on Stage Genesis Week 2023. He's going to be interviewed by the one and only Twosome, the UpX podcast. We're going to have a Too Stupid to Win and a TML, working with Dirk, obviously interviewing him live from the Upwind Studios. And then, of course, I do have the pleasure and the opportunity to interview Pavel. Pavel is the head of development, or the head, anyways, of deployment of everything that's coming through the game of Upwind as it hits the game of Upwind, as it gets launched, as it gets finalized, and they press that little live button and it goes live. That's everything. That's all the development. That's everybody who is pushing pieces together. We know that Don, as a co-CEO of the company, he's very involved in the development side of things. If we talk about who's actually making things happen, who's taking directions from Don, Pavel's the guy. So very much looking forward to having that conversation, because that's been a conversation we've had for years. Well, I want to talk to an actual dev. I want to hear from an actual dev. We're going to hear from an actual dev. So if people have those questions, I've got the questions put together officially. That doesn't mean that I can't change or add things in. This is an opportunity to actually have that conversation with a dev live, where people can see that conversation happening. The questions, like I said, they're my questions, with a caveat that if anyone has anything that they think they want to get snuck in there last minute, let me know. I'd love to get those answers to your questions. Realistically, when I do these interviews, there is surprisingly little time when you actually start asking all the questions you want to ask. You run out of space, you run out of room. I tried to put together some of the questions that I know people want answers to. There's some of the questions that I want answers to. But they are also going to be missing some perspectives potentially, because there's only so much time. If you have a perspective that you would love to share, feel free to shoot at me a DM. Let me know. Keep in mind, this is less than 48 hours away. This is like 36 hours away. I'll be doing this interview on Thursday, so there's not a lot of time to hit me up. I'm not going to change. I can't change all the questions I'm going to ask, but if you have a good piece of insight, I'd love to hear what you have to say and what your thoughts are. And again, we are still going to have an AMA. There's still going to be some discussion of on the panels of the development and side of Upwind and how that works. But again, I think these are some pivotal interviews. Again, it gives an opportunity to promote the game of Upwind, the team of Upwind, but also get some information. You watch these, you might glean a little bit that you never seen in an announcement, that you've never seen officially said in an AMA, because it's a different speaker. Again, Pavel, Dirk has been in many of these. Hele has been in some of these, but they're different speakers. These are not the same speakers you always hear. This is not X1 speaking on an update. This is one of the founders of the company. This is one of the co-CEOs talking, having a different group of interviewers with Too Stupid to Win and Thank Me Later that aren't normally interviewing him. So different questions may be asked, different answers may be given. It's a great thing to watch, so keep your eyes open. I know it'll be out recorded after the fact. If you are available to watch live in person, I know my time slot is 12:45 p.m. PT. That is going to be just after lunchtime on the West Coast, which is going to put it close to 3:45, or put it at 3:45 on the East Coast. If you are in Europe, that's going to put it into your evening. That's going to put it before sleepy by time for a lot of people, so right before 10 o'clock, so 9:45, or if you want to put it in 24-hour parlance, 21:45 in most of Europe. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to watch live. Again, if you have the right time zone, it might just work out. If you have my time zone, luckily I'm going to be entirely committed for the entire 4 days I'm there into Upwind. But if you were in the East Coast, I know 3:45 is a tough time. If you watch it record, I'm more than happy to answer questions. You have questions after the fact, but if you want to watch it live, that's what some of the magic is, some of the sparkle is, when these things are actually happening live. And you never know what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to get edited. I don't think anything's get edited out, but it is always fun to watch things as they happen, as they roll out. Of course, I do want to put out a couple more shout outs here with the idea that there's going to be plenty of broadcasting outside of the official timing, so watch out for that as well with the official events. Again, commencing at 5 p.m. PT. That's after these interviews happen at Upwind official, and then obviously as we head over there, likely that's the team is going to head over about that same time as well for the meet and greet, the opportunity to meet other uplanders and meet uplanders at that happy hour. So with that, let's get into that little bit of the sneaky drop change of the rules. Again, it's not to be surprising. We should have known better. Upland may have had the opportunity because this may have happened previously, but we do have an update. The Genesis Challenge leaderboard has been updated to correct for an error which allowed players to make and break collections to receive points for complete a collection test. That's essentially, I make a collection, I break that collection, make that collection, I break that collection, make that collection, break that collection. Oh my God, look at all these points. Hey, I'm the winner. I got 6,000 points. Woo, 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 woo. Well, guess what? That's not how the game was meant to be played. That's not where the points were supposed to be. It's supposed to be for new collections. You weren't supposed to be able to get points for having the same collection completed multiple times. Not really supposed to be getting points for collections that you've had for all this time. So poof, we changed that rule. So we will see that those leaderboards have already been updated. The leaderboard should now appropriately reflect collections that were initially made, again, very first time, never been made before, initially made from Monday, June 3rd at 9 a.m. PT onwards. That was not a collection that was made 3 weeks ago, then broken, then remade. Apologies for the inconvenience. Again, if you were high on the board and now you're not, you're probably going to be a little bit upset. But realistically, this is how these contests are played. There's rules. Maybe it wasn't spelled out clearly, but one could assume that when Upland talked about new collections, they meant new collections, collections that are new to you. Find the details about the challenge here. I'm more worried about seeing that the leaderboard did. That's what I want to see. I want to see that leaderboard. I want to see that leaderboard because I know it's changed. I thought the leaderboard was still integrated in here, and if I've got to go find that leaderboard elsewhere, I'll go find that leaderboard elsewhere. Let's go find that leaderboard elsewhere. So leaderboard is going to be back. Yesterday, we got a bunch of announcements. One of those announcements was the leaderboards. We have leaderboards for a number of different events happening throughout the Genesis week. Those are all together easy enough to get to. At least they were yesterday. Here we go. Okay, the GW Challenge, I'll take a look at that if we want to. The Burn event, we can take a look at that if we want to. The carts, we can take a look at that if we want to, and all these races. But again, let's go to the Genesis Challenge because the big idea is we had some changes. And look at these changes! We went from 6,000 points to 1,000 points. Go figure. You can't take all those collections that you had for years and break them and remake them. This is a big change. We have a lot of names that changed on this list. Some people who were probably intentionally exploiting the system. Again, not to say naughty. It's just to say that obviously was not a mechanism Upland wanted to be counting for points, and that person kind of found the opportunity to sneak some points in there. That person, or those people, I should say, they no longer have as many points as they did before. So they fall down the wayside. We don't see the same names up here as we did see yesterday. A couple of the same names actually in pretty decent spots, but not all the same names. Shinraza up there in first place. Mental Health. We have Kara John, Laser Flip, and MBX06 rounding up our top 5. So people have a decent amount of points from yesterday. We have plenty of people with between 1,000 and 1,300. MBX06 and Laser Flip actually have two of the higher scores. Mental Health as well from yesterday, with the understanding that this is a cumulative score. So MBX06 has not had a significant amount of points today. Laser Flip has not made a significant amounts of points today. Keep it in mind, people have different time zones. So we could see these positions here change later in the day. But currently, 1st through 5th are pretty well established with the understanding that the end of the day is the end of the day. So we could definitely see this flip around. If people haven't done their early morning activities yet and had the chance to do that, and other people have, we'll see these people jostle for position, and these positions change. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. The points right now are a third of what they were last night. And that's because a good percentage, go figure, over 3/4 of the points that people had last night were obviously coming from completing collections. If you have the collections that you haven't completed, if you want to buy new properties to complete a collection that you have 2 or 3 of, that's points. That's points that you could be earning. But again, that is not, or those points are not available if you have a property and you are looking at breaking that collection in order to make that collection. So we'll go back and take a look at the Genesis Challenge just one more time and be able to say, hey, I haven't participated a lot yet. Can I still participate? Why, yes, you can. Day 1 is over, but day 2 and 3 are not. We're partway through day 3 with partway to day 2 with day 3 starting tomorrow. What's up for stake? A number of things. Level 1, 2, and 3, 300 points, 600 points, 1,000 points. These are different breakaways to get these beautiful things right here. And these are badges. So we have a badge here, Genesis Week 2024 Level 1, which is a Sparklet Gives Wings logo. There's a little more enhanced Sparklet Gives Wings logo for level 2. There's a little fancier version of the Sparklet Gives Wings logo for the 3rd level. I like that these are constructive, that they build on each other. It's the same logo with a little more detail, a little more when you get up at the higher level. So that's a good use of artistic continuity. There you go. Artistic continuity. I think Upland did a good job there, kind of building one into the next. There are some random drawings here, so get it on the leaderboard, get your name drawn, get some potential, get a ticket into that beautiful Albatross 300 drawing. So if you want to get it. But here's the points. This is how it's done. So you want to earn some points? Get ready. Complete a collection for the very first time. Again, very first time. 25 points. Can't break a collection and make a collection, but for the very first time, you got 25 points, and that's where people were sneaking those points, and that's why people had such high scores yesterday that they no longer have. Complete 3 tours, you get 15 points. I'm going to complete my 2nd tour from Miami. That's going to put me closer to getting my 15 points, but you have to complete all 3 to get the 15 points. Compete in a race. You get 5 points each one. You can do a total of 20 races a day. That's a total of 100 points. There are costs to be in the staked races. Keep that in mind. It's a matter of time and all of that as well. So keep that in mind. But you definitely do have the opportunity of doing those 20 races, getting those 100 points. Complete a collection. Again, 25 points. Complete a treasure rush. There's no cap. There's 3 points for each treasure rush you complete. Obviously, there's only so many treasure rushes you can compete in. Spawn a standard treasure, you get 3 points. There's no cap, so keep spawning those treasures. Keep getting those points. Property purchases, 10 points each. You can do 10 per day for points. That's 100 total points. Property sales, 10 per day per day. Purchases, 10 points per purchase. Give it a total 100 points potentially there. The property mints, again, 15 points each. There is no cap. So if you are sitting on some upics and you want to go mint some properties and you don't want to wait for Friday because you don't want surprises, I guess that's an opportunity. If you don't want to go for the surprise, you want what you already know about. You want to go mint some properties that are lower mint properties. I want to mint 10 of them. Well, here we go. 15 points each. I'm going to mint 10. I got 150 points. So there are ways you can start racking those points up. If you just want to get those 1,000 points and get the best possible badge, you can do that. There's ways to get there just by spending upics if that's what you choose to do. And then it sends 3 per day. Again, 3 cents per day are going to get you points. That is capped out. Obviously, if you are participating in some events, you're doing more than 3 cents per day in some of these events. But 1 point for each of those cents. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Keep participating. We have already finished the first period. We're in our second period, which ends tomorrow, 9 a.m. PT. The third period is going to be from 9 a.m. PT tomorrow into 9 a.m. PT on Thursday. Keep that in mind. That's what we're looking at. And, of course, the big prize is a ticket. It's not the prize, it's the ticket. And then the ticket goes into the drawing for the big prize of the Genesis Week. The big prize of the Genesis Week is that MV300 Albatross, MVA 300 Albatross airplane. Big prize of Upland. Big Prize of Genesis Week 2024. So keep your eyes out on all of that. And what else we got going on? We got plenty of things going on. That's why we had that beautiful layout of all of our leaderboards. Racing's going on throughout. So the cards, the 1, 2, 3, 4, however you want to look at those categories for the Raceway, or those are going on the Raceway Challenge. The Burn Challenge is ongoing. I kind of gone back and forth on this. I mean, you get 10 points on this one. Look at those people on the leaderboard. You get 10 points on this one. You automatically have your name in for a drawing. That's kind of fun. You automatically get a Block Explorer with the potential rarity. That's kind of fun. But to get 10 points, you got to burn at least 2 Block Explorers, maybe more. If you're burning 2 Block Explorers, you're burning 2 rarer Block Explorers. If you're burning 6 Block Explorers, or not 6, if you're going to burn some combination to get 10, those might be the less rare ones possibly. But I mean, you're gonna burn a number of Block Explorers just to get to the 10. And if you want to get to the top of the heap, the top of the leaderboard, you have to get more than 40 points, which is the top right now. Top of the leaderboard is going to get you something very special, and that is automatically getting that magic ticket. 1 ticket to get your name in to potentially have somebody reach a little greasy hands in there, grab it, pull it out, and maybe you got yourself an MVA 300 Albatross. Kind of exciting. There's a lot there. Looking forward to that opportunity to potentially get my name drawn. So this is one opportunity to get your name into that list, to get your name into that fishbowl with that drawing on Friday. So I'm going to say congratulations to people on the list. I talked to Kevin Luxury earlier today. Congratulations, Kevin Luxury. You're number 3 on that list. It sounds like from our conversation, you're continuing to buy stuff in USD. You're continuing to burn Block Explorers. These aren't Block Explorers you've been sitting on for years. These are Block Explorers that, hey, there's an open market. That's why it's there. There's Block Explorer stores. You go when you travel, you go to the Block Explorer store, you pop some money out of your pocket and you buy it. You can either buy in UPIX or you can buy in USD. The USD market, there's plenty of people who want the USD. You have to give them, and there's going to be people who are happy to put the USD out to get to the top of this list. Again, if you ask me, it's a pretty hot ticket just to have your name in the fishbowl to get drawn for the MVA 300, and I think a lot of other people are in that position. And if you think about it as people buying Block Explorers to burn them, people are trying to buy that spot, buy that opportunity with cold, hard US dollar cash. So that's definitely worth noting that this is getting competitive. The difference between 31 and 40, obviously 9 points there. There is that good split between second place and first. But we've seen in these competitions that people do sandbag it a little bit. So we could see some pretty significant activity over the next 2 days. We'll see how that goes in the near future here. Otherwise, we are looking at a couple other things winding down into Genesis Week this year. We will have the championship series that's going to be raced in Vegas this year. That is essentially the finalists from the 2 previous seasons, from Bloom season or Blossom season and Frost season. They've earned points along the way in the top tier in the Series 1 R's, or wow, that was a buggy flew into my mouth. Excuse me, I apologize about that. The Series 1 R's, or what's now called our top tier MPS, the 175 to 226 MPS class. Those people who have earned points through the first 2, they're headed on, and the list is already there, of course. They're headed on to the Genesis week, the championship series that's going to be raced in Vegas this year. So that's kind of exciting to see that happen during the Genesis week festivities. So kind of excited to see that happen. And then of course, not to forget that we've got surprises. We got a city, man. We've got a lot going on. I'm going to hypothesize that we're probably going to get information on the city before it happens, so people can travel in. If I float the idea, it's possible that something weird is going to happen and Upland does a pick and drop, and maybe it's just for people at Genesis Week. I don't think it's going to be the case, but there's weird stuff. But barring the weird stuff, Upland's going to have to give us at least a few hours notice so people can travel in. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But keep your eyes open. There's more activities. There's more contests to be a part of. There's plenty to watch, plenty to see. UCN broadcasters, keep your eyes on us. Don't let us hide from you. Keep us in your mind and in your eye line, because we're going to try to put out as much content as we can to make it like you're there. And if you aren't there and you really wish you were, and you have some questions in your pocket, put them in the AMA form. Get them asked, get them answered, and potentially also ask them to a broadcaster if you want to. They may be talking with somebody who can give you that answer either on camera or not. Maybe it's makes you feel a little more like you're. Maybe you can be there next year if you can. So for tonight, I am getting ready. I'm packing. I'm putting my stuff where it needs to be. I'm checking to make sure my lift is going to pick me up at the right time, because I'm less than 8 hours away. I'll be honest with you. I'm about 6 hours away, or just under 6 hours away from showing up at the airport. So it's close. I need to get some sleep. Maybe I get 3 or 4 hours. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We normally do our things. I did give it an abbreviated schedule. We're going to stick right with that abbreviated schedule. Tomorrow night, the timing on the show, we're going to see how it runs. It might be right at 7:30 p.m. PT. Best of my knowledge, I'm going to be available to do that. We're going to be working with other uplanders, seeing other uplanders, greeting them, shaking hands, doing other things with them. But maybe doing the show live, maybe being able to do the show in a little bit different format, maybe being able to talk to this uplander and that uplander and this uplander over here, figure out how sound works. If I get in a quiet area, there's plenty of ways to do sound and to do sound right. So I'm going to keep my eyes out. And we're going to work on that. We're going to pilot things, make things happen tomorrow. So definitely look forward to a show. Probably 7:30 p.m. PT is more than likely when we can make it happen. Thursday is going to be a little weird. It's going to be that 12:45 p.m. PT in the afternoon. We'll see that happen. And that's live with Pavel from the Upland Studios. And then on Friday is going to be a little weird. Friday is going to be weird because we have that rest period, and that's the only time where I can really broadcast in a traditional fashion. It's going to be hard to broadcast when the little carts are going meow, 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 meow. At night. Realistically, the broadcast would actually be during the award ceremony. Maybe I'll be broadcasting that. Maybe I can do that. But the award ceremony, that wouldn't be a regular show. That might be an opportunity to, me to shut up and you to be able to watch what's actually going on stage as those awards are given out. So maybe we'll do something a little different. But I'll do my best to use Twitter. So if you keep your eyes out on Twitter with updates, if I know things of what's going on, if I figure out what can be done for broadcasting or not, and of course, if you do see me go live on Twitter, you see me go live on YouTube, feel free to check it out. I'm going live for a reason, even if it is just to spend 10 minutes doing an interview with somebody who I was lucky enough to run into at Genesis Week, which keep your eyes out. I will be planning on do so. Maybe there'll be some Upland partners sneak in there. Maybe there'll be some Uplanders sneak in there to be able to do some interviews. And of course, maybe I'll be leaving Genesis Week with some stuff in the can, some recorded stuff that we can get brought out, get put out down on into the future. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Genesis Week is upon us. Genesis Live is knocking on the door, and we'll be talking about all of it tomorrow and continuing through the weekend. Thank you so much. Of course, if you're in the Upland Cafe, as always, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.